First in high definition from the station on your side, this is WAVY News 10.
Help for homeowners. Hear what the president has planned to help you save a little more money each month. And
a Newport News high school student is arrested after police say she pepper sprayed another student. Coming up next, hear from one student who says fights at this high school are fairly common.
Plus, 3 people arrested for violent home invasions, including a 12-year-old girl. Police arrested a 12-year-old and 2 teens in connection with 2 home invasions and a shooting that sent 1 man to the hospital.
3 suspects led Chesapeake police on a chase into Norfolk, and that's where investigators caught the 2 girls and 18-year-old Taquine Lee. And on your side's Katie Collette now live in Chesapeake, where 1 man was shot during one of those home invasions. And Katie, how's he doing?
Tom, we're told that he was shot in the chest, but he is going to be fine. His stepson tells us he was actually home with his entire family last night when 3 people forced their way through the front door. This, of course, very shocking to this neighborhood because the police station is just seconds away. It began here in a house along Dunbarton Drive in Chesapeake. The homeowner says he was at work when 3 people pushed through the front door and forced his wife on the ground, their 11-month-old daughter next to her. He says the 3 stole cash and a camera and then ran. That's when police say the 3 drove 6 miles and ran into this home on Townhouse Lane.
All I heard was the gunshot go off, and then I just heard my mom just screaming. When I walked downstairs, my stepdad was laying on the floor, and she was just yelling at me to call 911.
As David Villadamaros dialed, he asked his mother what happened.
The 3 people just walked by the window and walked in our house and just said this is a robbery.
Villadamaros says his stepfather stood up and then the man in the doorway shot him.
Right below his collarbone, and 2 of his fingers came off.
That's when he says the 3 people with red bandanas over their faces ran, and a police chase began through the streets of Chesapeake and into Norfolk. Investigators say the suspect's car eventually dumped along Brambleton Avenue in Norfolk, and 10 on Your Side was there when police took 1 man into custody not far away along Freemason Avenue. Police say that man is 18-year-old Taquine Lee of Norfolk. Also arrested a 17 and a 12-year-old girl. Robbery and gun charges among the list of felony charges all 3 suspects face. Now, investigators say the 2 girls are in the Tidewater detention home while Lee is in the Chesapeake City Jail. Live in Chesapeake, Katie Collette, 10 on Your Side.
And one of the victims on Dunbarton Drive told 10 on Your Side he is going to work on making his home more secure now. Police suggest adding a peephole to his front door and hanging blinds with slats people can't see in when they're walking by.
Well, a 15-year-old high school student in Newport News is facing felony charges. Police say that she pepper sprayed another student. 2 students were taken to the hospital after this. Then Your Side's Melanie Woodrow is following this story from our newsroom. Melanie.
Tom, according to police, this was an ongoing dispute that escalated at school today. In addition to those 2 students taken to the hospital, school officials say as many as 10 were exposed to the pepper spray and treated at the nurse's office. As students changed classes, school officials say a 9th grade girl pepper sprayed another student, breaking not only Denby High School's rules, but the law as well. Police charged the girl with malicious assault because they say she used the pepper spray as a weapon.
It's not good.
Senior Tiffany Dixon says she's had enough at Denby.
It's always fights, and nobody ever knows who started it. It's either gang-related or drugs or whatever.
Newport News school spokesperson Michelle Price declined our on-camera interview request, but she did say students are encouraged to report any problems they are having at school. Denby High School has both a school resource officer and a school security officer. Dixon's father, Patrick Smith, wondered where both were today.
The security obviously was nowhere around.
Price said she did not know if there was surveillance video in the hallway where the fight occurred or who broke it up. The student arrested has been suspended with a recommendation for expulsion. And the 2 students taken to the hospital are expected to be okay, according to school officials. Police are not releasing the arrested student's name because she is a minor. She could face anywhere from 1 to 30 years in prison and up to a $2,500 fine. Tom?
All right. Thank you, Melanie Woodrow, reporting from the newsroom.
The jury has the case of a man accused of killing an undercover detective in Virginia Beach. 30-year-old Marshall Moyd faces several charges, including first-degree murder, robbery, and possession of a sawed-off shotgun. Prosecutors say Moyd arranged a drug deal that led to the deadly shooting of Detective Michael Phillips at a shopping center in August 2008. Co-defendant Ted Carter pleaded guilty to killing Phillips. He's serving a life sentence without parole. It will take a few weeks before police are able to say whether a baby found dead at the oceanfront is in fact 10-month-old Janiyah Whiteman. Lawrence Smith was taking care of the little girl when she disappeared last month. He's now behind bars on unrelated charges. Police found a baby's body in a hotel parking lot a short time after arresting Smith on Friday. The medical examiner will determine who the baby is and how she died.
A stretch of highway in Suffolk made quite a runway for the pilot of a small plane. He landed here on Nansman Parkway near Shoulders Hill Road. Police say the pilot had mechanical problems shortly after takeoff and tried to fly back to the airport but didn't make it, and the landing gear didn't lock down in time. The plane took a bit of a nosedive as it came to a stop. As you can see how it's tilting down. Another pilot told us the man guiding this plane did a pretty good job.
You know, you're right next to the airport, which is less than a mile away behind us, so and you also have these tall towers with guidelines, so there's a good bit of maneuvering you'd have to do to safely get it in here.
And he did at that. No one was hurt, including the 51-year-old pilot. The FAA and the Virginia State Police are still investigating.
A new tropical storm is brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. Her name is Rina. And Don, is Rina going to cause us any problems here?
No, it doesn't look like it whatsoever. The only problem is that it's going to kind of do a loop-the-loop over about the next week and a half. It's way on down into the Caribbean. I want to show you where it is and where it's going. We got the latest on the storm. Right now, the longer range models have it really kind of looping all the way around on up into here in the next 4 or 5 days, and then looping right on back again. So, again, it's likely to stay right on down into this part of the world. Now, here's the latest on the storm. 75 miles an hour. It's a minimal hurricane right now. It developed early in the morning hours, so it's moving to the west-northwest at 3 miles an hour. But there's where it is by Thursday, headed toward Cozumel and Cancun. 110-mile-an-hour winds moving on through these areas, weakening a bit. 85-mile-an-hour winds by Saturday. But again, as I mentioned, it's likely to kind of just zip on around, not zip on around, but slowly rotate back on around, and it may hit toward Belize coming up in the next couple of days. Now, do we have to worry about hurricane season right now? Not so much. Really, the peak of the hurricane season is September 10th. Once we hit about October 20th, there's a little bit of a secondary peak there. But once we get into late October, early November, the frequency of hurricanes into here, in other words, how frequently they occur or get anywhere near our part of the world, is really pretty nil. So again, we're not looking at this thing to move on up toward the U.S. mainland. We'll talk more about what we can expect. Some big changes in the forecast in just a few minutes.
The death toll is rising in Turkey following yesterday's earthquake. At least 270 people died in that quake that measured 7.2 on the Richter scale. Eastern Turkey, close to the Iranian border, was especially hard hit. 80 buildings collapsed, and that trapped hundreds of people inside. Rescuers are still underway more than 24 hours later. We're going to take a look at some of those rescue missions tonight at 5:30. Plus,
10 on Your Side has found a new study that ranks the United States with different types of transportation. Where do we stack compared to the other countries of the world? That answer will astound you. That story coming up.
then how would you like to see ads like these covering halls, lockers, the lunch tables in your children's school? Find out which district is considering this money-making move.
Plus, 2 murder suspects made a daring escape from jail tonight. Hear how police think they broke out.
You're watching WAVY News 10 at 5 with Tom Shad, Nicole Rivas, and Super Doppler 10 Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
They're called dangerous men, and they've escaped from a Florida jail. 52-year-old Rondell Reed and 25-year-old Leviticus Taylor were cellmates in Vero Beach. Authorities noticed they were gone just before 5 this morning. Reed is awaiting trial on first-degree murder. Taylor was recently convicted of the same. Corrections officials believe the inmates had been planning this escape.
We do know that it was a very elaborate scheme. We also know that it was very detailed in the way they departed the premises.
Police believe the pair escaped through a vent in their cell and then dropped into the maintenance hallway. They also say the men must have had help getting away after climbing the prison fence, which is topped with razor wire.
To cut costs, advertisements will soon appear in several Pennsylvania schools. It's Bucks County's solution to huge budget cuts this year. A school district near Philadelphia got the idea from an education magazine. The deal? More than $400,000 in cash in exchange for advertisements on halls, lockers, tables, and benches.
I was apprehensive. What were these ads going to look like? What messages would they be sending the students? And then as we began to receive information, we realized that there were going to be filters.
There won't be ads selling sports cars or soft drinks, but ones that promote education, nutrition, and student safety. We wanted to know what you think about this idea. Quincy Gass said, as long as the children are still learning, I think it's awesome. Also on Facebook, David Gooley says he thinks it's a good idea as long as they don't conflict with education, but he hopes there won't be any smoking ads.
Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. New help coming for struggling homeowners. You're going to hear about the plan, which could make it easier for you to lower your mortgage payments.
Then something we use every day could put pregnant women at risk. We'll show you what to look out for and the impact it could have.
And a look at the east half of the United States. A little weak cool front drops through during the overnight hours, but bigger changes in store for later on this week. We'll tell you all about those changes with our forecast.
President Obama is making another move to try to keep more Americans in their homes.
His latest plan opens the refinance option to many homeowners trapped in old, high-rate mortgages. 10 on your side, Steve Handelsman has details now from Washington.
President Obama headed to Nevada to unveil his mortgage refi program. It's for homeowners who pay their mortgages every month, but still owe more than their home is worth, so they can't refinance. Now, if their mortgage is with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, they can refi at current low rates.
It really is going to help somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million folks with mortgages, most of which were not able to refinance under a previous program.
Our economy will get a stimulus.
That several $100s a month in payment difference can now be used to buy goods and services, improve their home.
But 6 million homeowners have fallen behind in their mortgage. Like Joanne Woolridge of Arizona, stuck with a 7% note and upside down.
Bought this house for $325, and now, according to the tax records, it's $157.
She gets no help today.
This program, it's a tweak to an existing program that wasn't working. Some have called it basically a single, when what they really needed was a home run.
The president has spent just $2.4 billion of the $50 billion he pledged on housing. Because, as housing secretary said today, the problem was worse than they thought.
And because of that very complexity that helped to contribute to the housing bubble and then the housing bust, it also made it harder to unwind these troubled mortgages.
Now Barack Obama is running for re-election, still looking for ways to fix the mortgage mess.
And some key swing states like Nevada and Florida are where the housing crisis is worst. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Washington.
Now, in high definition, your Super Doppler 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Don Slater.
Got lots of sunshine into the air. A little band of clouds has been coming on through, but it's still mostly sunny and no rainfall on Super Doppler 10 Live. We move into our forecast, show you what's going on into the region again with clear skies into the region. Temperatures basically into the upper 60s, around 70 degrees for today. And there's kind of a reinforcing shot of drier air that's going to punch on through the area overnight. Drier, it's got a little rain with it right now. However, by the time this moves on through the mountains, it'll likely just have a few clouds, and that'll be about it. In fact, by the midnight hour, it's right about into here. I kind of drew it kind of funny, but anyway, it's right about into here, and that'll drop on through by around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, shift our winds back over to the northwest. And then another area of colder air is lined on up, way on off toward the Mississippi Valley by Wednesday evening. And by Thursday, I think we'll start to see that pop on through the area. So that'll be the really, really big change. Highs only into the upper 50s by the end of the week. But for now, it's not bad. Temperatures into the upper 60s for today. There's that little band of cloud cover that I told you about. Here's the cold front on off to our west. Here's where it's going to be by tomorrow morning at 7, popping on through the area. Northerly wind at about 10 to 15 miles an hour, even at the noon hour. And then the winds drop off from there, become more southwesterly by the end of the day tomorrow. Skies mostly clear through the day for tomorrow. We move on into Wednesday, and a southwesterly breeze at 10 to 15 is going to start to bring a little warmer air back on into the area. So tomorrow it's likely to be upper 60s to around the 70-degree mark. Once again, same as today in terms of the temperature. And then later on in the day, a 10 to 20 mile an hour breeze, and it'll actually warm up a bit during the day on Wednesday. A few stray clouds later on. Now here's what's going on in terms of those temperatures. Tomorrow during the day, 7 o'clock in the morning, mid-60s, upper 60s by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, perhaps even near 70 degrees into a few areas. Lots and lots of sunshine. We move on into Wednesday, upper 40s, low 50s to start the day, and basically into the mid-70s. So Wednesday looks terrific, but this is one of those situations where it's kind of the really warmer air before the cooler air starts to drop back on into the region. Right now, here's that little band of cloud cover moving on through the area. Still mostly sunny. Temperatures basically to the upper 60s through the area. Our low last night, 49 degrees. A high today tipped the scales at 67 degrees. Temperatures across the area, mid-60s into the low 70s. Again, lots and lots of sunshine throughout the area, mostly into the mid-60s right now. And overnight, we drop on down to around the 50-degree mark. A few clouds overnight, but not that awfully much. And during the day tomorrow, highs around 68, 69, 70 degrees into the area. 74 on Wednesday. Thursday, 75, and then the bottom drops out with highs only to the upper 50s for Friday and Saturday.
All right, now to breaking news in Virginia Beach, where the jury has gone home for the night in the case of a man accused of killing an undercover detective in Virginia Beach. 30-year-old Marshall Moyd faces several charges, including first-degree murder, robbery, and possession of a sawed-off shotgun.
Prosecutors say Moyd arranged a drug deal that led to the deadly shooting of Detective Michael Phillips at a shopping center in August 2008. Co-defendant Ted Carter pleaded guilty to killing Phillips. He's serving a life sentence without parole. Jury deliberations will continue tomorrow.
Well, thinking about cutting back on coffee, new research may have you asking for another cup of Joe. We'll explain why.
Plus, drugstore deals. You may stock up on allergy medicine and aspirin at the drugstore, but what about wine or water? We're on your side crunching the numbers on other bargains, new at 5:30.
You're watching the station on your side. This is WAVY News 10 at 5.
Something happening at 64 in Tidewater there. Smoking might be the biggest risk for developing lung cancer, but did you know heavy drinking can increase your risk as well? Researchers found those who had more than 3 alcoholic drinks a day had an increased risk of lung cancer. The highest risk was among heavy beer drinkers. That's opposed to those who drank primarily wine or liquor. On the other hand, new research shows drinking coffee could lower your risk for certain types of skin cancer. It shows that women who drank more than 3 cups of coffee a day had a 20% lower risk for basal cell carcinoma. Men had a 9% reduced risk. The researchers did not see a benefit for the other types of skin cancer.
The controversial chemical used in many plastic products could make young women more susceptible to depression and anxiety. Companies that sell plastic baby bottles removed the chemical bisphenol A from their products years ago, but nobody worried about its effect on pregnant women. Now research shows pregnant women could be passing the chemical to their unborn children.
Girls with the higher exposure to BPA during gestation had more depression, anxiety, hyperactivity, and aggression.
You can find the chemical in plastic products, in the lining of canned food, even on shiny thermal receipts like the ones you get at the gas station. Researchers also said there was no link for boys.
Get enough sleep and stay thin. Teens who don't get enough rest may weigh more than their peers. This comes from researchers at Baylor College of Medicine. It found that high school teens that got fewer than 7 hours of sleep during the week weighed more than those who slept longer. Experts believe that sleep deprivation can alter hormone levels, especially those that control feelings of hunger. Reading one email could cost you hundreds of dollars. We're on your side with what you need to know to keep that money in your pocket.
Then lockdown at 2 North Carolina schools. A girl shot in the neck during lunch. Tonight at 5:30, a concerned parent speaks out. 10 on your side.
Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, I'm here. Tell Tiara that I'm here in the newsroom.
Check sound.
No, they had a
1, 2, hang on a second.
I'll get back to you.
they had a issue with the small plane. So now
Check, check, check.
PR guy sent it to us about 20 minutes
Hello,
ago.
Tom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had to definitely mention that. A consumer alert tonight about what could be lurking in your email. It's gone viral nationwide, so now the feds are looking closely at this. The email looks like it's from the Internal Revenue Service with an IRS domain. Subject line, recalculation of taxes. Janet Apple opened the attachment, and within minutes it did more than $300 damage to her computer.
Within 5 to 10 minutes, the computer just froze and had all kinds of swirls and patterns on it.
A real mess. So the question is, why do people create such viruses?
Money. That's what they want. It lets the user know that the person has possibly been infected with a virus. And in order to get rid of that virus, you have to pay money to purchase what is a fake antivirus removal program. And the way that the software works, it's really quite damaging, where it's very, very hard to remove this program without making that purchase.
Now, federal investigators want to know where these emails are coming from. In the meantime, the IRS says don't open anything that looks suspicious. Stay with us. WAVY News 10 at 5:30 starts right now.